Welcome students of class 3. This is your social studies. I am Lily Case and today we are going to begin with another lesson that is from chapter 9, Keeping in Touch with Others, page number 51. Chapter 9, Keeping in Touch with Others, page number 51. Here in this lesson, there is a girl named Lidong and she meets Mr. Postman. His name is Kamba. And here, after meeting him, she gets so excited and she gets so curious. That means she wanted to know more. So she goes and asks her father. So that particular day, Lidong, she was staying at home and a postman came and knocked the door. That time, when she opened the door, she saw that there was a postman who brought a letter, and that letter was so special from her aunt. So, let me tell you about how the letters were sent earlier before we had a post office. Now we have a post office. So, when we write a letter, we go to the post office and we send the letters to different places. But earlier, there was no post office. So, what they do, they used to send the letters from birds. Okay, that was pigeon. Or they also had a man who would carry the message, the written message in his hand, and he will go to different places walking by foot for days and months, and finally he drops the message to the place wherever he was supposed to give. Or sometimes even some of the soldiers, if they are asked by the king to send some messages to another places, then they used to ride the horse for days, weeks, and for many days, all right? And then finally they used to drop the message. In the same way, they take the message, the reply from that person, and comes back and send it to their king, okay? Now, here we are going to learn about communication. So communication means sending or receiving messages. So there are different ways of sending and receiving messages. We have letters, telephone, radio, television, mobile phone, and newspapers, which I'm going to tell you the difference between these different types of communication. See, students, communication is so important, okay? Here I'm explaining to you it is also a communication. I'm sending you a message, right? And then when you talk to your friends discussing about this particular chapter, that is also communication. You are sharing your knowledge, you are sharing your messages that you have received from this video, right? So that is communication. We do communication at home with our parents. We do communication with our friends when we are in a group of circle of friends. And whenever we go out, we also do communication with the shopkeeper, with the policeman, with all the different people that we come across in the markets, in the shops, right? So communication is very important, and there are different ways to do communication. So now coming back to Lidong, after she saw the letter that was sent by her aunt from the postman, she became so curious and she wanted to know. So she asked her father, "How do I send a letter to aunt?" And why she wanted to send a letter to her aunt was because her aunt has sent a letter to her, right? And then she wants to give back the reply. So in order to do that, she asked her father, "What do I do now?" So at that time, Lidong's father told her that there are so many ways she can send the reply to her aunt, but since she was asking about a letter, so he also decided to tell her how to write a letter, how to send it, okay? So Lidong's father told her that there are so many ways of sending messages and letters. Okay, the first one is writing a letter. The second one is by using a postcard. The third one is by inland letters. The fourth one, stamped. The fifth one, through envelopes. And the last one, with the help of post office. Okay, so whenever you want to send a letter to someone, you have to go through different process. It's not only one. Okay, there are so many process that you have to go through, and that is the reason why it takes more than 2 or 3 days, sometimes even 7 days, 10 days or more. Okay, so if you follow this process correctly, then your letter will reach on time. But sometimes what happens is people write incorrect address, or they used to enter the wrong PIN number. That is why the letters get stuck, or it used to come back to the office. Again, we have to go do the correction, and because of these mistakes, it takes about a month also. All right, so now, he told her, Lidong's father has suggested that she can go for a letter instead of other sources, and then she needs to follow these simple steps. Okay, so the first thing what she need to do is she needs to write the letter in a clean piece of paper. So whatever she have to write, she can sit down, take her moment, think, and write the letter. Sometimes when you go through a letter, there are some certain questions that the person asks, like how are you doing, how was your exam, or when is your vacation. So for those, you have to read the letter nicely and then reply it accordingly. Okay, after you are done, you will write the address. So you will put the letter, fold it nicely, put it inside the envelope, and then you will write the address on top. Now after writing the address, you will seal it nicely so that whenever it's traveling to another place, it will not come out or tear off, right? So you will seal it nicely, and then you will put it in the letter box. So go around and search whether there is any letter box around your place. If you find one, that's very good. You can go and drop it in the letter box. Now these letters are collected in this letter box. Okay, so there are so many letter box in and around your locality, so you can drop there. Or if you don't have a letter box, you can personally go to the post office, the nearest post office, and then you can drop the letter by yourself. Okay, now, for writing a letter, after you are done with writing a letter, you can use different types of envelopes, and all these envelopes have different purposes. That means that is for different use. Okay, some of them are postcards, some are stamped envelopes, some are aerogram, and some of them are inland letters. Okay, so all these envelopes, you can use either one of them, and they have different purposes. Like for example, this one, aerogram. If you are going to send a letter very far from your country, then you will use this aerogram. Or you can also use these stamp letters for any normal letters. Okay, so look carefully. This is postcard, this is aerogram, this is stamped envelope, and this is inland letters. Okay, now, so once you're done with this whole thing of writing, putting it in the envelope, sealing it, then you will give it to the post office, right? So after reaching the post office will then tell the postman to give out the letters to all the different areas, whichever is written in on the envelope. Okay, so now the postman is taking the letters from the post box and then giving out to the people. All right, so people not only send letters, but sometimes they also send gifts, they also send money or some big boxes. Okay, inside the box there will be some gifts or some things that was ordered. All right, so it is not only letter, but here, since Lidong was very curious about letter, so her father used to mainly tell her about the letters. Okay, so this is post office. If you don't have the post box, the letter box near your house, then you can go to the post office. And once you reach there, there are different times, different systems. Okay, some are registered post, speed post, and courier service. So if you want your letters to reach early, then you can use this speed post. For that, you have to pay some extra amount of money, and then you can send the letter. For example, if you have used the normal post, then it may take about 7 to 10 days if the place is quite far from you. But if you have used this post office, the speed post in the post office, then your letters will reach in 2 to 3 days. Okay. One very important thing when you're writing a letter is the address and the PIN code. Please remember that. So outside the letter, outside the envelope, you're going to write the address. Okay. So always be careful. Write the address carefully, and you will also enter your phone number. It is said that if you don't write the letters correctly with correct numbers and correct address, then the letter will be cancelled and it will come back to you. So again, you have to go to the post office, change the envelope and change all the address again. So in order to avoid that, you have to be very careful, enter the address correctly with correct PIN code. Now if you're wondering what is a PIN code, see, in our country we have so many areas. Okay, in different countries there are different PIN codes, PIN numbers. All right, since we have thousands and thousands of areas, we cannot call all these areas by the name. So to make it more easier, we use the PIN code. So there are certain numbers. Okay, say for example here it is 456001. So some are the region code, some are the area code. Okay, so likewise, if you put the correct PIN code, then your letter will reach at the right place. So these letters are sent in different ways. Some of them are collected by the mail van. Okay, some of them are sent by ships, some are sent by buses, by aeroplane, and even by a train. So all the means of transportation are used to drop the letters. Okay, to collect the letters or to drop the letters, because every time the letters are not from the same area, right? I'm staying in Kohima and you're staying in Dimapur, so it may not take much time, but there are letters which are sent from Nagaland to Maharashtra, right? So for that case, they have to use a train, an airplane, a bus, or different source of transportation so that your letters can reach on time. Now, we also have telegram. So Lidong's father told her about telegram. Okay, so this telegram is also a letter, but it is little different from a letter. Here we do not write long words like how we write letters. We try to make the message very short, as you can see here, right? They have used only a few spaces to send the message. Same thing here, they have used only 2 to 3 sentences to complete their message, right? So telegram is specially for emergency uses. Okay, so people also use telegram to send the messages. These things are very old now. Okay, nowadays people are using more advanced systems like the emails, which I will tell you in the later part. Okay, but now you have to know that telegram and letters are different from one another. Now, Lidong, after getting to know the information about the letters from her father, she asked her father again, "Father, letters and telegrams are the only way to send a message?" And Lidong's father replied to her that, "No, there are so many other ways of sending a message. it's not only letter and telegram, but we also have a mobile phone, which is the most popular uh, form of communication now, right? But so Lidong's father, he again continued telling her about the other ways of communication. First with telephone, okay? So telephone, earlier the telephone was different, and now the telephones that we have is different. So with every generation, things are changing, right? See, earlier people, I told you, they were letters, but they used to send it through birds. So the birds will carry the letter and take it to the other destination, right? Now you can also see here we have telephones, but still they have changed with the phase of time. Nowadays we have telephones that can record the voice, that can record the numbers, and same thing, even the mobile phones, they have changed a lot. Earlier it was a keypad phones, now we have smartphones. Smartphones, we can connect to internet and we can do a lot more, right? So see the evolution of telephone and mobiles. We also have fax machine and printer. Don't get confused with fax machine and printer, okay? They look little similar, but this fax machine, we can send the documents, all right? It can print out the documents through, if we press certain numbers, then another person from a far off country can also send their documents through this fax machine. And this printer, we can take out the documents whichever is there in the phone or in the computer, right? So the top one is fax machine, and the below one is printer. Now internet, okay? Internet is one of the latest means of communication. When you connect the internet with your computer and with your mobile phone, then you can access to so many things, like you can watch videos from YouTube, you can send messages from the email, you can also search a lot of, if you have questions, you can type it in Google and you can find it. And also we have many social medias where you can connect with your friends, like Facebook, WhatsApp, right? So this is all done with the help of internet. So this was the information that Lidong's father gave to Lidong. Now the next one is mass communication. Mass communication means you are communicating with more people, okay? See, over the phone we can tell a message to only one or two person, right? But when you send a message through a television, a radio, a magazine, or a newspaper, then you can give the message to more number of people, all right? So with that information, Lidong was so happy, and she have learned so much about communications, or how to communicate with others, right? So she thanked her father. Now let's have some fun time. Let's find out what are these things, okay? So number one, I bring letters to your doorstep. So that is a postman. Number two, I am the slowest but most popular. That is letters, right? Number three, I am the fastest means of communication. That is a telephone or a mobile phone, either one, all right? Number four, I am the latest means of communication. That is internet. So both number four and five, the answer is internet. That is the latest. Also, we have question time, true or false. Number one, the internet is the latest means of communication. Again, yes. Number two, we must write the PIN code and address carefully. I've explained to you, and it's correct, right? The answer is true. Three, it takes only few hours for our letters to reach us. No, it's wrong. I told you it will take more than 3 days, okay? Number four, means of communication help us to keep in touch with people. That's correct. Communication means sending and receiving messages, right? So it help us to keep in touch with people. Now match the column. Earliest means of communication is pigeons, right? People were using pigeons to communicate, right? To send a message. Number 2, we buy postcards here. Where do we buy postcards? In a post office, right? Number 3, we send letters to other countries. How? Through an aerogram, okay? Through an aerogram. And number 4, a very popular means of mass communication. Mass communication means sending your message to more people. So the answer is number B, television. Okay, I hope you have learned from this lesson. Thank you very much, my dear students. I'll see you again in the next lesson.